Draw a realistic eye, Part 2. To begin, darken the line across the top and lower lid, but don't add too much pressure. I will add a light shading tone on the upper lid. Keep strokes close together. Now to add shadowed areas. I will work these areas up as we build up the tones. And now onto the lower lid to add some light shading. I use a small brush to gently push the shading and smooth out the upper lid. You can also use a tissue if you don't have a brush. I'm going to begin building up the tones using a darker pencil. Using a Tombow Mono Zero eraser, I'm adding small highlights over the shadowed areas of the lid. Using a kneaded eraser, I'm lightening up the lower end of this area, and a light strip of shading along the lower area of the lid. The upper lid has some shadowed tones along this area as it sits back in the eye socket. Adding a blurred dark line is better than adding a dark solid line. You want it to appear natural and not illustrative. And now to blend it with a blending tool. When shading skin tones, you want it to build up gradually. Holding the pencil back from the tip will help to achieve a light shade with less pressure. As you will see, I'm following the contour direction of the curve of the eye. The lower area of the eye has some crease lines and interesting textures that are always fun to draw. As you will see, I'm shading with following the bottom curve of the eye. I tend to always use a tissue when smoothing out skin tones, although at times a brush or tortillon can help too. You'll see how I will go back into previous areas to adjust tonal values. The light source is coming from the right side, so this is why you will see more shadowed areas on the left. A nice blend with the tissue will help smooth down the tones. I always find it fascinating how a flat outline drawing can become so lifelike with how lights and darks are placed. Just as long as you know what shades to add, from very light tones to the darkest black tones, the contrast between these two makes up the realism and brings your subject to life. You will see how I'm very gentle with shading and not adding too much pressure. Let's work up some more shading on the outer corner of the eye. It's really starting to look realistic now. Blending with a tissue over my finger gives me specific control. Never use your fingers to blend, as the natural oils will leave fingerprints on your drawing. While the upper lashes will be going along the strip, be aware for shadowed areas and highlights. Textured areas in the skin is added using the Tombow Mono Zero eraser and a light value pencil and a mechanical pencil. It's almost as though I'm scumbling here, but I'm actually placing random lines that will cross over each other. Mechanical pencils can leave tiny marks and can get into the smallest nooks and crannies and create fine details. If the lines in the skin's texture are too dark, they appear unrealistic, so be sure not to give too much pressure. I'm adding small lines to the areas over the upper lid as well. Adding freckles or aging spots can be easy to do by just shading small spots. A dirty tortillon can be great for creating these too. I'm using gentle pressure as I add the highlights and lighter spots to the skin. Some small lines are added to the lower and upper areas of the skin. Very light blood vessels are added to the lighter side of the eye where the light source is casting over it. Have them light enough to barely see them. You can work on skin tones for hours, but in this case I'm only adding some texture to the shadowed areas. I will use a tortillon to rub the graphite darker into the paper and a tissue to smooth it out. A small clickable eraser is used to add small highlights and spots to the skin. I will be going back and forth using my drawing tools during this stage. The blood vessels on the right side facing the light source are barely visible. Skin textures can ultimately take a long time to do, so I'm being rather quick with it. Notice if there are any highlights along the rim of the bottom lid. Typically there are some. Smooth paper is great for fine details using pencils and erasers. Adding some dark shades will help to boost these areas more. I use a Staedtler Lumograph black pencil for this. Now let's go on to the next and final video of adding eyelashes and finishing touch-ups.